Game begin.
All right, hello and welcome to a fun little episode of Spike Colony. Mike is preoccupied. I am so busy these days, I can only record in like a 1 hour window on Saturdays. So we have plans to bring you some more regular long form content, but I've got good friend of the podcast, Aaron Dix, on. Aaron, how's it going?
Pretty good. What's up, guys?
Ace King or Pocket Pair? What are you thinking?
Pocket pair.
Pocket Pair?
Play it safe.
Yeah. So you got Pocket Jacks in position. Flops comes eight Queen King Rainbow. Check it over to me. I see bet 30% pot. What are you doing?
Fold.
Nice. All right.
I'll get you later.
What if it comes out 2-4 Queen?
Probably stay in it then.
Yeah. Okay. I like
Check.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I want your stack, man. Ace King suited. I want to play for stacks. I want to draw out. I want to battle. If I'm out of position with Ace King though, I check to you. You bet 30%. I call. Next card, not an ace or a king.
Yeah.
Check it to you again. You bet again. I call.
You
Next
call?
card.
Really?
No. Of course I'm out.
From there?
I should have been on the first three.
No, I don't like that.
No. So that's Michael J's fatal fall is that he can't get away. But no, I just like Land told me the story. He's just like Mike can't lay down ace king. He just like so he like goes C bets. He gets check raised, and then he calls, and then enemy barrels again. He calls again. Enemy barrels again. He calls again. No help. And he just like throws all his money away. He just can't lay down ace king. It's just like that. Honestly, that feels on brand. I wanted to just vibe check Premodern today, but some quick housekeeping. Registration for LobsterCon Premodern 2025 is going to open on December 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Check out every social platform for details. The event itself is going to be May 2nd and 3rd at the Dante. We are going to be doing a packed side event schedule. On Friday, we've got free play. We have a regular Premodern side event. We have Premodern Unchained, which is unban one card of your choice for your deck. We have fetchless Shockland Premodern, so you get to play the Shocklands. You don't get to play Fetchland. And then on Saturday, we have the main event. And of course, nothing on Sunday because the Dante has a church service. Aaron, are you going?
I don't know. Splitting it up this year and having other major tournaments that I'd really like to be at close to it on the calendar makes me wonder if I can make it this year.
Yeah. What about GP Frankfurt? It's like a week.
I know
after. That's what you're thinking.
That's really kind of that's so tempting. Also, if you haven't been to a tournament in Germany, like, man, those guys just so welcoming and so wonderful to be around.
I was in Munich for Eras Tour, and that was just the second best city I've traveled to. The first best is Melbourne. I love Melbourne, and if there was like Premodern GP in Australia every year, I would just live there because what's the point of doing anything else? It's tough. It's just like, do you want? I mean, it's totally understandable, right? Because LobsterCon it just got too big for its britches.
Well, and that's a credit to Neos and those guys and the amazing work that they put into it and how awesome that event is. But honestly, one of the things that I'm going to miss, I am one of the people that kind of got affected as a dual citizen.
Yeah.
I'm definitely super into the old school community. There's so many friends, I've been a couple times and I've played Premodern on day 2. I've played old school on day 2. It just kind of depends on my mood and what I'm feeling at the time. But, you know, even if I'm not playing the tournament, I really want to hang out.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with a lot of the old school guys. So there's a lot of folks that I know that went and played one or the other, but are really like super invested in the community. And hanging out with those guys is always a blast. So
yeah,
it's a little bit of a bummer for me, especially, I guess. And a couple other people that are affected, but I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
It's coming back together. It's going to come back out. I mean, it was just
exactly.
the problem was the Dante is just too good of a venue.
Oh no. Yeah. We saw that this year. Like how packed was the Dante?
Yeah.
Like it was actually kind of hard to hang with all the people that you wanted to hang with, because you were just trying to find a little bit of space around the corners to, hang out.
But you get exponentially bigger when you do a ballroom, and then you can't have the bar at the ballroom, and the bar is like the most important part, right?
It's definitely part of the vibe for sure. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's a tough one.
I'm curious to see how it gets dealt with in the future.
Should we just do Tuesday through Saturday at the Dante? just
a better part of a week, just everybody chill.
Well, you do flights, right? So you do 2 day ones. You can only register for one of the day ones, so it's 4 day ones, 2 old school day ones, 2 pre-modern day ones. And I think
most of us would just want to be there for the whole thing.
But you can register for one of the day ones. Like you can register for either day one, and then the other day one, like you have.
Oh yeah.
So you have you have side events on the corresponding day 1A, day 1B, right?
Yeah.
So then everybody could just sort of do everything, because you could play in. You could kind of, I don't know. There's I mean, this is just like an imagination to keep in the Dante, but I guess logistically speaking, it doesn't work, because if you run multiple day ones, like you wouldn't be allowing half of the people into the hall anyways, because like that's the point, right? You can't just have everybody in the hall, and if everybody's not in the hall at the same time, like the point is for everybody be in the hall. Like that's the idea. All right, so that's a horrible idea, but I just so what are our funding look like for just adding another room to the Dante? Let's just get rid of the parking lot.
Let's just build a building.
Should we just do a parking lot bungalow? Like just bring in bungalows.
Do one of the Oktoberfest tents. Like do the big
hell yeah.
tent.
As long as it's summertime. Why not?
Loser's bracket has to play outside.
Yeah, table 100, you earned it. You're outside. Like, sorry. Just like you brought your brew to LobsterCon. I don't have better advice for you than bring a sweater.
That would have been me this year.
Yeah. Well, what did you do? Aaron? Did you bring a stock 75? No, you didn't.
I brought the same list as 3 other people.
You tried to get fancy.
3 other people that were in the know, and they all went X2.
They all followed in your footsteps.
Yeah,
you're leading from the back on that.
They had good days, and I had bad days.
That's fine. Premodern 1 out of 10 right now as a format. What are you saying?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. 10 out of fucking 10. Listen, I have been hearing so much nonsense, and it's all going in the wrong direction. I think that, and we'll get a chance to talk to people who are anti-parallax tide. And I think the anti-parallax tide at least gets to like the closest thing that you could plausibly complain about in the format. And this is something that I can't believe people aren't complaining about this. And it's just Dreadnought. Like, if you're going to complain, like, first of all, there's no reason to complain, right? Okay, like, all the decks are pretty good. Dreadnought is superb. Mm-hmm. And the ways to beat it are it's like kind of goblins or like kind of Terrageddon splashing meddling mage, and like it doesn't feel like there's like a good like agency deck, like a deck that has options that can sort of like be like, I'm going to beat Dreadnought and also be like the rock against everything else.
Right. So there used to be decks that could attack Dreadnought a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Black-white control being a good example.
Yeah, exactly. But you add Tide to that, and it's a problem.
Enchantress. So the Enchantress matchup wasn't flipped, right? Enchantress is still probably ahead, even against the Tide.
Sure.
Especially based on my experiences. Like I really, even if I won that game against 10 arms, it took like an immense amount of work. Instead, I punted the game away. But if I didn't, like I executed every aspect of the plan. But it involved me casting a null twice on Sabo's Web. And, so that's one point against. 1.4 is that Rich Shea is in the Fall Brawl semifinal. He's up against Replenish, which is going to be a very straightforward matchup for game 2 and game 3. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be interesting to see what Danny DeRoy brings to the table as far as sideboarding and strategy goes. Rich is the most creative strategic planner in the format, bar none. If you saw that game against Phil Wynn playing red-green deck wins, like he just does things differently. Like,
well, I think he looks at it going in and says, what is my game plan?
Well, it was a pivot.
It
was a pivot, though. I think in game 2, in game 3, he was doing something different than game 2. That's what I think is very astute about Rich. And it's a very simple thing. Just like, hey, like if you tried something game 2 and it didn't work, change it for game 3.
I think part of it, also part of it is what does the dealer bring you? What do you get handed?
I mean, Phil Wynn got triple powder keg, double pillage. Guess what happened?
Yeah. 2
of his pillages got misdirected to 2 of his powder kegs. And it's like, okay, well,
seems cool.
That's a yikes. Like, I'll leak a little bit about the Bible. The Bible basically boards out Mishra's Factory for the Dreadnought side whenever there is Wastelands or Dust Bowls. Just takes it out as a target. Just like blanks those cards. Rich just he just kept in Mishra's Factory. And he won game 3 by getting Phil to 12 or under, surviving most of all, and then just putting 2 Dreadnoughts on the battlefield. And he used Parallax Tide as bait. It's just very creative. He was using Parallax Tide. Like one angle of the game was he was just like, I'm just going to go after manlands. And then like the next angle, he's like, I'm just going to go after green sources. And so Phil is like left with like 3 mountains and like a thawing glaciers, and he has no forest left. All the forests got exile. And like playing against that just feels, I mean, I don't know. You've played against Rich, right? Like, it's just it feels different. It's like him. It's just crazy. But he's kind of, I don't know what him playing the Dreadnought deck is just, it's just like the training
terrifying.
The training weights are off, right? Like I think that Replenish is kind of a weak deck. In general, it's a good deck, but
it feels pretty good.
I mean, I don't know. Like you give Rich Shea a bunch of these like 4 mana, whatever. He can, he might get mana screwed, right? He might just draw no opalescence, right? Those are things that can happen to him. I can't imagine Rich losing with the Dreadnought deck. Like you have to get lucky to beat Rich on the Dreadnought deck. That's my feeling. Yeah,
you really do. I mean, Danny's no slouch though.
He's no slouch. But look, do you know Phil's deck? 4 Overload, 4 Blast, 4 Powder Keg. Like
it's pretty stacked.
Call of the Herd. Rich was countering lightning bolts. Like he was on the ropes, and Phil couldn't close. It was just like, it was insane. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, like, and where did it come from? Like, I was just watching that game, and I generally feel like I know what's going on, and I was just like, okay, if I'm in Phil's seat, I'm like thinking about this, or I'm worried about this. I thought Phil was running out too many powder kegs, because I was like, he's going to lose all his powder kegs to Rich's powder keg. But the thing that ended up happening was even crazier. It's just like, and I was just like, yeah, you just can't, he's Rich is like slippery. You can't pin him. You can't really corner him. You have to nut draw him. You have to double mox diamond parallax wave, parallax, opalescence him. And you only get to do that when he's playing goblins. Like you can't do that when he's playing an interactive or powerful, like, just like a good deck. So that's the problem with Dreadnought. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, the deck is super good. It's always been super good. It's been good. Like, it got sharpened at the end of 2022. So LobsterCon 2022, there just wasn't like a Dreadnought deck that was figured out. And then since the fall of 2022, there's 3 mono blue Dreadnought in the fall brawl that year. Yeah.
There's been a lot of very good Dreadnought decks for a long time, to the point, was it on ATC that Ole said, you might, if anybody's going to look at banning anything in this format, it's probably Dreadnought. Why does nobody talk in all these bans?
Yeah.
Why does nobody talk about that? And I think it was, one of the best takes ever.
I mean, it turned out to be, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so weird to me because I'm like, it's just a creature, I guess. It's like, it's got 2 types.
That I'm definitely not I'm definitely not advocating banning Dreadnought, but I think it was the correct take. Like, if you're going to talk about banning anything, it's this. It's
wild to me that anything is in the conversation, and the only reason why Tide isn't, like, look, Replenish as a deck, it's been around. It's good. It's good. It's tier 1. It's cool. Mono Blue Tide. Shout out Andy Levine. Mono Blue Tide primer on spikecolony.com. He top 8 at LobsterCon. Deck, going into the tournament, he was telling me, like, it's just like a okay deck that I feel good about. Like, it's like, and it crushes Replenish. And he was like, there's some surprises in there. Like, he really likes his goblins and burn situation. But what happens in the top 8? He loses the burn. So it's a fallible deck.
Sure.
And
sure would be pretty good with some Dreadnoughts in there, bud.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was, and guess what? Like, the deck, I mean, basically the deck is a little bit better against goblins. Sure. But it loses a lot of, like, it doesn't like lose every match against the new mono blue Dreadnought, but it, like,
it's tough.
It's not easy. Yeah. You get a null, like, you get 4 nulls. Like, that's actually the problem with Replenish against Dreadnought, is that Replenish can't afford to play a null. That's
as a guy who does play Dreadnought and Replenish often, it's so funny to me that I don't see enough nulls.
Yeah.
And B, people, when you're playing against Dreadnought, why are more people not countering the Dreadnought still? Yeah. Like, I know they're trying to get the value of, like,
unless your opponent has only 1 blue mana open with the Dreadnought in stack, counter the Dreadnought. And that's the best part of a null, is it just tells you to counter the Dreadnought. That's kind of like ABC.
It's been funny to watch. Like, people still try to get that value.
Yeah. It's one of those heuristic things, Yeah. They just, it feels like the right play. A lot of times it can be, but a lot of times it's not, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And there's so many intricacies into it, because it's sometimes Dreadnought's on the stack and you have a null, or you don't have a null, you have counterspell Swords to Plowshares. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, they can already counter Swords to Plowshares by casting another Vision Charm, which is the reason why you don't counter Vision Charm. It's like if you counter a Vision Charm, then they can counter your counter with another Vision Charm or Stifle. And you're turning their Vision Charm or Stifle into another counter spell. That's why you counter the Dreadnought. But if you have a removal spell, that spell's already going to be countered by the thing. So then you have to start counting your mana, and then you have to be like, okay, well, if the Dreadnought's opponent's hand doesn't contain any counter spells, then you still want to counter the Dreadnought, right? Because like, then their hand is going to be like multiple charms and whatever. And sure, they didn't lose a charm on that turn, but like, they're still in a place where they're digging for the second Dreadnought, and your Swords of Plowshares might be able to like time walk them, or like, Or maybe it just you get a target emissions factory. But it might go back where it's like, yeah, maybe it's better for me to like empty their hand. So you have to count their mana. You have to figure out if they have counter spells or whatever.
People too often just end up blind, like just they have it in the back of their head that Dreadnought, you let Dreadnought resolve and counter the next thing. And I see it way too often from positions. I'm like, I'd never let that thing resolve from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's interesting spots. I think it's a good spot for people to study. But, I don't know. It's just like weird. It's just like, part of why I had this discussion was because I was talking about on Discord, people were just like, mana suppression is too common in Premodern. And
it didn't used to be. That's the fantastic thing is we're seeing the format drift towards the mid-range right now. Which is kind of fun to watch. It means that some of these ridiculous early combos are going to get better again.
Yeah. Well, to elaborate on that, because I think most people would hear what you say and be like, well, it doesn't the card tide crush mid-range.
Yeah, it does. But you're not seeing tide be super oppressive in a metagame right now. You're seeing a couple copies that win an event, but you're not seeing it define the greater metagame. So you're going to have a lot of these decks that can fight through that. I mean, Red Green Oath kind of pushed everything, slowed the game down a little bit, and Green White Oath as well. Like, yeah,
just Oath Ponzo, right?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these, and you're seeing that the Tide decks themselves, like that's a slower game plan. We're going to get to turn 3 or 4. We're going to, figure this out from there. Everything's kind of,
and you've got the Terrageddon deck.
The Terrageddon. We're going
to. So this is the irony, right? Because I think when people are complaining about mana disruption, it is about these decks, right? Because the current mid-range decks, mid-range control, right, are Mono Blue Tide, Terrageddon, and Ponzo Oath, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what would make people go like, well, like now I can't play Black White Control. Black White Control is really good against Red Green Oath. It is really bad against Mono Blue Tide, and it is not that good against Terrageddon. So Black White Control is kind of not a real deck. It felt like it could be something for a few months, but now I have a really hard time justifying, because then what are you even doing? Like you can't beat Dreadnought anymore. You can't really beat Replenish. Like you do sometimes, just because like a little bit of duress, a little bit of, a little bit of get an Exalted Angel down before they like draw out or whatever. Pretty solid. But overall, like, you're not going to be happy against Replenish. Just like, what are you happy to face? And Black White Control was kind of like the last hope for like a deck that put lands on the battlefield. And I think that people are kind of reacting and they're just like, I just want to like rampant growth, or just like, I just want to draw some cards and play some lands. And then like,
I think Black White Control still definitely has a spot in the meta. I think you can fight through a lot of the shenanigans. I mean, that was, we just did a big tournament here. I was playing Replenish, and Black White Control was a fairly tough matchup for Replenish.
It's funny because I was on the agreeing side of this most of the time. I have never actually defeated Black White Control when I play Replenish, and I'm like, the sample size is of 3, but it's like, 3 matches where it was just kind of like, look, if it happened 3 times and it's supposed to be easy, then it's not that easy. And then I said the same thing on coverage when Rich was playing against a Black White Control player in the last big Massachusetts event, and Black White Control took game 1, and I was like, see? And then Rich won the next 2, and I was like, okay, well.
Like he does.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, they have the disruption package, your all your dig is fairly card neutral. You're not gaining card advantage
But Eternal Dragon against Parallax Tide is just not a good lineup.
Yeah, but I mean, Tide feels really good. Disrupting that deck's mana feels awesome. Like I get it, but they can just put you on the back foot enough. You know, they can. I've almost said stifle your early game, but I don't want to mean the card stifle. They can hamper your early game, and you know they have ways to eat your graveyard.
Yeah. So just a little Duress Gerard's Verdict. Plus Phyrexian Furnace.
Yeah, or
maybe only put 4 lands on the battlefield,
or Planner Void. You know,
don't say Planner Void. You can't play Planner Void in your Skeletal Scrying deck.
Sure, you can.
No, boo. Planner Void in your Skeletal Scrying Eternal Dragon deck.
Depends on what you're facing. That's one of the best sideboard cards in the format. It crushes
Phyrexian Furnace. No, I mean, I draw. Furnace and
Withered Wretch are totally viable there too.
Withered Wretch
is sick,
it's a 2/2.
You used to fight me on Withered
Wretch is good now because
it was always good. You fought me on this one, but it's always been good.
No. As a Replenish player, every single time somebody played Withered Wretch, and I was like, "That's cool." I was like, I just cast Parallax Wave, and they're like, "Oh,
okay." Pair Withered Wretch with an aggressive disruptive package.
Yes. I'm with you contextually, right? Because sometimes people were like, they were playing Machine Head, and against Machine Head, I would just be like, well, if I cast my enchantment, your deck can't remove.
Yeah.
It's like if an Opalescence is on the battlefield, it's like you better find that Dystopia, like, you know, and you need the Dystopia and the Wretch, right? Because putting it into my graveyard might as well be putting it back onto the battlefield. So I'm not flipping here. I have never said anything wrong in my life and never needed to update any opinions. I'm not flipping here. Wither Wretch is still garbage, but if you're in the market for a 2/2 in your deck that has no offense, then Wither Wretch it up. And the deep irony here is your Withered Wretch is going to run into a quicksand from the Parallax Tide player. So you have to Dust Bowl the quicksand first, and then you attack with your Withered Wretch. But I think I'm in your neighborhood, right? I would be like, well, maybe you just board in Negator, and then you kind of look against the.
I mean, they've got enough answers for creatures.
The mono blue Tide, mono blue Dreadnought.
Oh, the mono blue, yeah. Fair enough.
Replenish does, right?
Replenish does.
But like Replenish is like not really excited to have a bunch of Swords of Plowshares against your deck. No. There's like, I need to Swords Your Angel, but like I'm not gonna like have 4. Like that's just excessive. And that's why Wither Wretch becomes better.
I don't know, I like 4 there. Because there are certain creatures in that deck that are just a freaking problem. You gotta deal with them.
That's true, but they like it's Angel. And then plus, Eternal Dragon costs 7 mana.
Don't forget, Gerard's Verdict lets you choose the card. So choose, like if I've got swords in my hands, okay, and they're not useful, that's the card I'm choosing.
But however, I don't have a lot of cards in my hand because my deck only draws 1 card per turn and negative 1 card per turn in a lot of cases when for some reason I keep in my attunements. Okay, so let's just leave it at black-white control. It's fine against Replenish.
Yeah.
It's good against Red-Green Oath. It is unplayable against new Dr. Surf and Turf.
Yeah, that's rough.
So
it's really bad.
That's like the reason why we call it quits, unless you next level. So what I want to hear from you is just like, okay, we're not banning Dreadnought. I mean, come on. Like it's just, you just play Goblins. Just like play. Okay, so list the things you should be playing. Play more Goblin Tinkerer. Play more Annul. Play Waterfront Bouncer. Play just like Nimble Mongoose. Just like play Call the Herd. Call the Herd kind of sucks now because they go
more Meddling Mage decks.
Yeah, Meddling Mage is good. Just play some creatures, play some Crumbles, play some Goblin Tinker. Like what's another one that's kind of funny? Plague Bearer. It's like
Plague Bearer is hilarious.
Put Plague Bearer on the battlefield.
A problem with Plague Bearer right now is
it
rules. Burn is tier 1, and there's so many Oath decks. So like.
Yes, but if you have 7 mana.
Right, okay. Fair enough.
Wait, hold on. not that there's any playable black decks, but let's step out of zombies. I played a little bit of zombies. I'll tell you about that. I was like, you know what zombies needs? Maggot Carrier. Because we only have 8 1-drops. Let's play 12 1-drops. 12 1-drops is a great place to go. Didn't work out. But Plague Bearer rules, right? Because Dreadnought, Man Lands, and Call of the Herd are just going to get
super sick.
Yeah. And then face down Exalted Angel. Ole Rod got me with that one time. I was so stoked on the matchup. I had Replenish versus Zombies, and I go face down Exalted Angel, and Ole just Plague Bears it.
Yeah.
And then I lost. Replenish versus Zombies, I lost. It's just like completely unbelievable. His Withered Wretches didn't do anything.
It's almost like they had Withered Wretch and an aggressive disrupted package.
Didn't do anything. Won because of Plague Bearer.
That's not a time when you expect to win because of Plague Bearer. I'll give you that.
Yes. Okay. So, Plague Bearer is super sick. I think Plague Bearer is sick right now. The burn situation. Look, burn puts a lot of pressure on the metagame, but like you can just lose to burn.
Yeah,
like, it happened. Like just sometimes.
And we just had a 36 person something tournament. Nobody brought burn.
Yeah.
The entire room, there was no burn. Yeah, it was crazy.
Sometimes you can just lose to burn. And like this, like it's just healthy if mono blue. I mean, okay, so here's a few difficult things. Burn is pretty behind mono blue Dreadnought, and the deck that beats burn, some sort of all-in combo deck like the Sutured Ghoul deck that we saw just succeed. That deck is really good against burn. It's not that good against Dreadnought.
Right.
So, and that deck is like Ace King. Honestly, that deck is like
is
10 jack suited. Like
as a burn player, is Dreadnought actually saving my format for me to be able to play burn? Like secretly holding down the other, glass cannon combo decks.
I mean, Dreadnought incentivizes people to play beatdown, and like burn decks are like generally good against most of the beatdown decks in the format.
But they're terrible. I don't want to say terrible. It's better than it's ever been against Dreadnought, but it's still bad.
Well, the problem is people just aren't playing beatdown. This is a big problem. Like,
right?
We haven't seen the adjustment.
It's like somebody listened to this podcast and went with all these decks that you guys talk about all the time. Push everybody towards Red Green Oath, best deck ever. It's like you guys are single-handedly affecting the metagame.
Red Green Oath is unplayable now. Like, you can't play the deck anymore. Like, have you seen these matches versus Dreadnought? It's like a joke.
Bad. It's really bad.
Joke. Oh my god, Brian Selden just be like, nice sphere resistance nerd.
I know, lock you under your own sphere.
Just, like, it's ridiculous. Embarrassing. Like I would just go like this. Like you have to play goblins, man. You have to play goblins. You have to play Terrageddon, Blue Green Madness. It's time, baby.
I'm terrified of Blue Green Madness. I never want to see Blue Green Madness at a tournament.
What do you think?
That deck is actually scary, and people don't do it enough.
All right, Blue Green Madness, bring it in. So the Terrageddon deck, I hate this Terrageddon deck, and not because I think it's like not because of any like weird thing. It's such a like, it is so like. What Weathered Wayfarer, like Sylvan Library, Gemstone Mine, like Mock Style, like this. And then you just have to draw. Like, what is happening?
Have you played it? Have you played Weathered Wayfarer and felt the power of Weathered Wayfarer?
But it's old. But Weathered Wayfarer is not good against Phyrexian Dreadnought. The rest of the deck is, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right?
So you have Weathered Wayfarer, and that's how you beat non-basic land decks. And then if your opponent just has only forests and survival of the fittest, or only has mountains and goblins, what do you think? What do you think about this deck? Do you think this deck beats goblins?
Wait, which deck?
Terrageddon. Like the 4-color Terrageddon. Maybe let's just say without Pyroclasm. They added Pyroclasm because they were scared of elves and goblins.
Here's yes and no, because nothing in the format beats the God Draw from goblins. I think that's
sure.
Like the nuts from goblins beats everything.
Okay.
But it definitely has the tools to beat goblins. So yes and no.
It's like not Cataclysm though. Like not Cataclysm. Not it, like. Okay, I answered my own question, right? Because you wouldn't add Pyroclasm to the deck if you thought it just beat goblins all the time.
Right.
And they added Pyroclasm to the deck.
Yeah.
Gemstone Mine though is just like super like okay. I guess it's fine because it's just kind of like this is the land tax deck. This is like the deck that is sort of doing the land tax thing. So it's just bad. Like I played all the same cards in land tax, right? I played Mox Diamond, Sylvan Library.
I'm just going to punish you for playing a land.
I played 4 Gemstone Mine in my land tax deck. Like it makes sense. Okay, moving on. So Terrageddon, I just hate it because it just like it doesn't have any real card draw. And like, so you like open up these hands and you're just like land Mox Diamond, like Call the Herd on turn 2, like, you know, and you're like, oh, here's the thing about engines. This drives me, like, I think people miss this part a lot. So like you cast Survival of the Fittest. You spent 2 mana. Mm-hmm. Then you discard. You
have to wait for your value. You have to think about your ROI.
You go get Squee. It's like, okay, that's Squee. Well, another turn has passed. You discard the Squee. You draw Squee, and you got whatever creature you got with Squee. Now you're neutral, right? Because you started.
Board gamers get this really easily because you have like a finite amount of turns in board games, right? The game is going to end by X turn. This is an engine piece. I'm going to, if I put this engine online, nope, not worth it. Okay, moving along. Yeah. I think you really need to evaluate your engine in some of these. I agree. Survival's incredible. I mean, there's a reason it gets banned other places, right?
Well,
but if I'm not going to treat it like an engine most of the time. I'm going to treat it like I'm going to try to do something broken with it.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. That's what I like because I think, well, and so counterpoint, there's just like this black-green deck, which is just survival as a Howling Mine, right? Like the rest of it, because it's like, it doesn't do anything.
That is the plan, though. Yeah. That is totally going to plan. I'm going to draw this out.
That's not doing something broken, right? I listened to that podcast and Phil is just like, I get that survival down, and I'm just looking for that Yavimaya Granger. Like, I'm just like, boom.
Okay, that's
next add to the battlefield is my 2/1. I'm gonna get a couple lands, and then I'm gonna get a Ravenous Baloth. And once all the cooking's done, we're gonna put Tempting Worm down, and then Tempting Worm is gonna take it to the house. That's not broken,
right?
Survival Madness.
I want to do something better.
Survival Madness is pretty sweet because it has 4 squeeze. I think that's really cool because that's kind. It's not like win.
Now you have a broken engine.
Yeah. You kind of have land tax.
It's not 1 card a turn
because you're picking up 3 squeeze a turn. It's just the same thing as 3 basic lands.
Exactly.
Okay, so
except you can also add. That fuels other parts of your engine too, like your.
Yeah. That's the idea. Like if they blow up the survival, it's like, okay, well, I have a 5/5 wild mongrel, or every time I cast Frantic Search, it's a free recall. Like, come on.
Yeah, I'm in.
So that's the thing about Weathered Wayfarer. It's like you put it into the battlefield. It's like, okay, a few things can happen. 1, your opponent is a Mox Diamond deck. Lol. 2, your opponent is an Oath of Druids deck. Lol. 3, your opponent is a deck that has basic lands. Lol again. Like if your opponent's playing Burn, right? Like Weathered Wayfarer.
But I think we're evaluating the card wrong because the card drops turn 1. It's a 1 mana card. Yeah. I mean, your ROI and it is a creature, so it's a body otherwise.
Yeah, you got to tap it. You got to tap it once.
Yeah.
And then you're going to draw a card and you tap
your
it. Your
ROI is 1.
You're kind of also negative. Like it costs 1 mana to tap, but you always hit your land drop, and then you got to kind of double it with your little fetch trick. So okay, I'm in because the investment is so low.
Yes.
Because like I guess that's like a fair way to say, because if you play it and your opponent just like plowshares it, then you're just like, that's sweet. But that's also kind of bad, right? Because your deck also has a bunch of cards that disappear, like Mox Diamond and Gemstone Mine. So if your engine gets plowed, it's like a little yikes. I don't know.
I mean, then your Terravor didn't get plowed.
That's what I was thinking. On the other hand, like, I don't know.
Okay, you gonna get my 1/1? You got it, bud.
Yeah.
By the way, here's a 2020.
It's like It's weird because basically the issue that I have is that a lot of the decks that these decks kind of walk all over, like I just don't live in their world, you know? Yeah. Like you would just never catch me getting Wasteland chained because like I would like not for that not to happen. Like that's not the way.
There's
that
a lot of decks that don't have a way around that, Lanny.
Well, Replenish is a big one.
Yeah.
Replenish has to plowshare.
I mean, I was getting vindicated. My lands were getting vindicated, and I had a problem. Like I need to get to 4 lands, and I can actually close this game out. Or I need to get to 4 mana. I can probably close this game out. Oh, another vindicate. Oh yeah. I'm down to 2.
All right, let's hold ourselves to it. Last 5 minutes.
Oh,
are we
wow,
brewing?
that was quick.
Yeah, that was fast. Yeah, no, it's good. It's fine. It's a new spy calling. We're just snap. You know,
snap.
Are we brewing?
I'm not brewing. Oh, I'm still tweaking burn lists now. Okay. I've got a few things.
Is there an angle here? Because here's what I realized. Fran started the pre-Fire Modern format, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. So surely what people are going to do is that Fran was just like, you know what, the Splinter Twin's legal, and Pod is legal, and I just assumed that people would be like playing Splinter Twin and Pod, and instead the reason why they liked pre-Fire Modern is so that they can play nonsense. This was like an all-time high for nonsense in Modern, like so much random shit like Eldrazi and taxes, infect. Like I just thought people would like, what I remember was like Tron, Dredge, Phoenix, and then you just add Twin and Pod.
I had a chat with a vintage player last night. Actually, played pre-modern, a pre-modern event at a new store here in the Twin Cities that has their own pre-modern community. It was pretty awesome. Talking with a vintage player named Jace, who was talking about the strength of vintage right now, and he's like, my friends are all super down on vintage because they think that everybody's doing the same thing, like it, but like I had never played against, he's naming vintage decks that I don't, whatever. I'm not a vintage guy. He's like, everybody says that everybody's going to come with this, but you never play that in your local metagame. You can play vintage and never see these decks. Yeah. So most of the people that come just bring what they want to play, bring a stack of nonsense that's like their own homebrew or, the thing that they're trying to do because they're vintage players. And it's the same with pre-Fire Modern. People are going to come with, the thing that they want to brew up in that card pool.
Right, because what's the point of just like dredging people? Right?
Yeah, we know what dredge is. Yeah. We know
unless you love that, right? And also Dread Return is legal, so
yeah, there's gonna be people that's like, well, I've got these cards sitting here, so that's gonna happen.
But here's the thing, the vintage problem is that if somebody decides that they're just gonna play Oath or like a Esper Luris, like they're going to kind of dominate anybody who's just kind of playing Deathrite Shaman Bug or like Dreadhorde Arcanist, like they just have, it's like Dreadhorde Arcanist, they unbanned Ponder. Dreadhorde Arcanist looked like it could be a playable card, and then they printed Psychic Frog, and it was just kind of like, well, Dreadhorde Arcanist doesn't really look like a card anymore. But the reason I brought it up is because I think I'm becoming a little bit more sensitive to this concept that people really want to like feel like they're having fun playing nonsense in pre-modern, and that might just be going away.
You think the nonsense in pre-modern is going away?
I think that nonsense is at an all-time low in the 10 out of 10 format that we started this podcast saying. It's 10 out of 10.
I don't know. I feel like, so I try to do it locally. I try to do a different deck every week.
Yeah.
I try not to repeat. And last night I played against a 4-color sneak attack deck. I played against
You were playing Replenish.
No, last night I was playing Burn.
Okay. You were bad cop.
I was bad
Fun
guy.
Police, yeah.
I went 3-0 with Burn. Okay. But
so you're the problem.
I have the I've been known to do some wacky shenanigans.
I know. I'm just
goblins.
saying, in the context of what I just said, which was that this is a nonsense, hostile enviirment. You created that environment.
There was this fantastic. So
you're like, all these decks I beat were so cool.
Well,
I'm sure they enjoyed the tent outside
hold on.
in the parking lot of the Dante.
I went 2-1 against both of these decks, the sneak attack deck and the
I let them take a game off me.
They took a game off me, and I had to top deck the win against a green-white Thornscape Familiar.
Yeah, hell yeah, baby.
What's the white 2/2 for 3 that returns a enchantment card when it enters the battlefield? Oromancer wave deck.
Let's go.
So you're like waving out the Oromancer with the wave. It comes back. It's you just shenanigans your way to like infinite wave with Oromancer, and Thornscape Familiar makes it ridiculously cheap to do it. Okay. So it was super rad.
This is good. And the reason why this is good is that I think one of the things that I wanted to say about this nonsense, quote unquote nonsense, hostile environment is that before we ban Tide, before we ban Dreadnought, before we ban, you can ban Oath of Druids because personally I hate it, but you don't have to ban it, right? Before you ban Oath of Druids, or before you ban Thermokarst or Mox Diamond.
Both of those decks I mentioned beat Dreadnought last night.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, before you ban this, I want, like, I know how, if you're out there and you're just like, this is a nonsense hostile environment, I feel you. I had a podcast. I don't know if people remember this, but I had a Spy Colony podcast where I was just like, Mike, it's crazy modern out there, or crazy pre-modern out there. I can't build a deck that has creatures because I'm going to get oathed. I can't build a deck that puts more than 4 lands in play because I'm going to get Stone Rained or like, well, okay, so it's like ironic because it's like the Sphere of Resistance means you can't play a lot of like 1 and 2 mana spells. Sure. And Stone Rain means you can't play any 4 mana spells.
Right.
And you can't play 3 mana spells with Sphere of Resistance in play either. So like you just can't play, like there's no spells that you can play. Like you're just like, okay. So I was just like, that sucks. Like if you're brewing and you're just like I don't know, like Call of Herd is like my favorite card to cast, right? It's like Call of Herd is really bad on both the axis of Oath of Druids and on Stone Rain and on Sphere of Resistance and nowadays on Tide, Chain of Vapor, sacrifice a land, bounce your elephant token. So these are huge challenges. It used to just be like, oh, I need to deal with Goblin Lackey and Fire Blast. And now it's just like, oh man, what am I supposed to do if my answer to those cards are cards that I can't cast under Sphere of Resistance? I'm with you. I'm there.
Yeah.
I've felt that kind of like, I felt the flame being snuffed out, the brewing flame being snuffed out. And I think what you're saying is just like, just go. Just play.
Yeah,
man.
just go. Just
build a deck.
You're gonna have good matchups and bad matchups with everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that try a lot of stuff in our metagame that like there are certain decks that just got hated out. Like you can't play Dreadnought locally with a decent success rate. You're going to go 0-3 some weeks.
Yeah. And you know what I did recently was Maggot Carrier. I was like, listen, here's the answer. Maggot Carrier cannot be defeated. Like Maggot Carrier will defeat Dreadnought. And Maggot Carrier will defeat Parallax Tide. Sure. Like you just don't. Why tide me? I got Swamp Dark Ritual in my hand after you tied me. Like it's over. I lost to Tide. I punted game 1, but I lost to Tide. Okay. So maybe Maggot Carrier wasn't the answer, but I had a lot of fun trying. Yeah. This black-green deck is relatively new. The Terrageddon Space can be tweaked and can be tinkered. It's been a lot of fun. It's been fun watching the people do it. I've got an exciting thing. I want to play blue-green flash, blue-green instant speed. And I think the secret to that deck is to play Wall of Roots in a deck that contains instants. Because like the thing that people don't do in pre-modern, unless they have Survival of the Fittest, is activate Wall of Roots on their opponent's turn and their turn, right? Yep. So Forest, Island, Wall of Roots. Next turn, Call of the Herd with Island Wall of Roots up. You have 5 mana on turn 3 to go Call of the Herd plus Mana Leak or Call of the Herd plus Impulse or whatever. Like, I'm extremely excited on this.
Yeah.
That's going to be my next thing. I think that if you like, look, just shake it up. Just go out there and brew. Make a lot of nonsense. Send your nonsense to me. I'll fix it. And then, maybe you improve from 3-3 to 2-4, and then you're like, well, Lanny's a dumbass, or maybe I can't be Parallax Tide, and that's why I'm grumpy. But I do want to address wholeheartedly that, like, yeah, if it feels tough out there for nonsense, I get that.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think that a lot of the decks that we're playing right now started off as nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Cards have been banned in this format
that are unplayable, like show and tell.
people built. I mean, I'm thinking land tax.
Yeah, sure.
That deck started off as a brew. It started off as a nonsense deck.
I'll be the first to say, like, lest I will continually remind people that Rich's second place deck is just such a pile.
Yeah.
This is Cutting Wish for Funeral Pyre to put Triskelion to play. Like, what's that gonna beat?
But that's Rich, the constant thinking outside the box and refining.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love chatting with that guy. I can't wait to I'm going to commentate.
You're going to comment him in 30 minutes.
His thing today. I love the way his mind works. I love talking to him about decks and like refining decks with him, because that's my big thing. I don't brew a lot of my own creations, but I'm pretty good at like refining lists, and chatting with him and like working on the last few cards and tweaking mana bases and stuff is super, super awesome.
Yeah. Love the POV from him. Love the creativity.
Yeah,
okay.
Always.
That was overtime. Let's do double overtime. Double overtime.
Okay.
Just start naming some cards that should go in a deck. I'll go first. Beast Attack. No?
What?
Isn't Beast Attack amazing?
When did you become BK?
Beast Attack beats Call the Herd. I intuition for 3 Beast Attack the other day, and it went amazing.
Okay.
Your turn.
No, people last night, what's the the hot take of the night was what is it, Elephant Rampage, or what's like the
Elephant
bad
Ambush?
Elephant Ambush, like the bad Call of the Herd.
4 mana instant speed Call of the Herd?
Yeah, awful. And they're like, this is borderline playable. I'm like,
that's
no,
awful because you have Beast
Quit
Attack.
talking.
Hold on. Okay, let me talk about the fine specimen of Beast Attack, and let's compare it to Elephant Ambush. Okay,
Welcome
Elephant
to Beast
Ambush
Attack podcast.
2 mana and GG. Create a 3/3 elephant creature token at instant speed. Flashback 8. Beast Attack 2 and 3 GG. Make a 4/4 beast. Flashback, same cost. You need a name card though. You're not playing the game. Name a card.
Oh, I don't know, man. People need to be playing Planner Void.
Planner Void. Okay.
I'm telling you.
Your card, I'm not a fan of. I'm whatever.
One of the best sideboard cards that is getting slept on.
You're gonna have to prove me wrong, but that's not even fun. Like, that's not as fun as Beast Attack. Second, what about Underworld Dreams?
Is Underworld Dreams legal?
Oh shoot, you're probably right. You're absolutely right.
I don't think it's legal. Otherwise, I would be playing it.
Okay, 10th edition, 9th edition, Legends. Damn, 8th edition. Yeah. Okay,
I was going to say, if Underworld Dreams were legal, I would actually be brewing.
Okay. So I already said Plague Bear. Should we name a black card? What about what if we just played Cremate in our Nether Spirit decks, and we played like, what if we like Intuition for, like, instead of like trying to draw Nether Spirit, what if we like Intuition for Nether Spirit, and then we cremated if we had other shit going on.
Are you really pitching this to me?
What's a good intuition pile with Nether Spirit? There's got to be one. So you go like Nether Spirit, Cabal Therapy. Isn't that kind of a decent intuition pile? Nether Spirit Double Therapy. Doesn't that cook? That kind of cooks.
Okay, yeah, a little bit.
Nether Spirit Cabal Therapy Flash of Insight.
Okay, I Flash of Insight was probably the answer to this like a year ago.
Wait, hold on. Nether Spirit Coffin Purge if you're in a hurry.
I think you're working too hard at making that work.
Okay. Your turn. Name a black card.
Where's my... I have a stack of...
Black card is tough, huh? What about Greed?
No. Greed is bad.
It
Greed
costs
is
4
terrible.
mana.
I've got a stack.
What about Ivory Tower?
Ivory Tower is amazing.
Yeah. Nobody's really playing. There's no Ivory Tower decks right now.
I'm scared of Ivory Tower at all times.
Well, you are a burn player.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of decks that are scared of some life gain.
Fair.
Like
my burn deck's not
just
scared of Ivory Tower. Just to be clear.
A little bit of life. A little bit of life game is a big problem for a lot of decks. I don't know. Black cards are tough.
It doesn't have to be black. Any card.
Quicksliver.
Ooh, Quicksliver. That's kind of this. There's not a lot of space there, but I love Quicksliver. Well, what are you gonna do different?
I think
what's the
genuinely?
What's the next
I think a Gush counter sliver deck is like a Bant counter slivers with Gush foil is super
Gush
playable.
Foil. You're gonna play Mox Diamond Gush foil.
Yeah.
Thran Quarry at least.
Yeah. Thran Quarry. So we got plates. We got plates on the 1. What else do we have on 1? Nothing. I mean, if you wanted to go metallic, you could go metallic.
Unacceptable.
No, you just have the one drop.
Plates on the 1.
You have a bunch of 2.
On the 2s, muscle,
flash,
and quick winged. How many winged?
Crystalline, man.
Yeah. Crystalline's I don't even have to mention it.
Yeah. Probably 2 winged.
2 winged.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my problem. 1, all the slivers cost 2 mana. 2, all the counter spells cost 2 mana.
Yeah.
Because we need
sweet.
We need it. No, what are we gonna do on turns 1 and 3? There's no Ether Vial. There's no
get ready to flash them in, man.
Spell Pierce.
Just, hold up your mana.
So you have to play 4 quick.
Instant speed slivers. That's why you got to play the quick slivers.
So 4 quick. You're gonna look for 4. Okay, quick sliver.
Oh, and your other 1 drop is Worldly Tutor to get the right sliver at instant
so
speed.
much card disadvantage.
Whatever you got, gosh, you'll get it back.
Ugh, we need more card advantage than just Gush. Gush can't, because if you have Mox Diamond and
what are you gonna do? Survival squee? We just talked about this.
Okay. So no survival squee. Okay. So the problem I have with this idea is that I think Madness is like very close to the same spot.
I think anytime you brew in Bant, you're like, this is almost this other deck. There's so many like Bant aggro.
Right, but why don't we lean into the things that make slivers unique, which is we'll table this. Merfolk.
You asked me for a card that not enough people were playing. I think that's the one. Even the slivers lists.
I invite some sliver cooks. Can we get into some other colors? Can we play? We can play Essence Sliver. That's my favorite sliver.
Which one's Essence Sliver?
Essence Sliver is the Lifelink Sliver, Spirit Link Sliver.
Oh, doesn't that one cost a bajillion?
It costs 4.
That's no. I mean, you play the one that turns your stuff into Baloths.
Oh, is there that? Okay, we'll cook slivers. That's fine. I mean, I feel like Fran did a good job attempting it, and it just kind of like was just like he had like 1 card in hand immediately. It was a little bit sad, but I like a Grotog mana base. So I can get.
I like Grotog except for the grow.
Without just
not a
query
huge fan
drive,
of the
that's
Dryad.
fine. That's fine. Nimble
Yeah.
Mongoose.
Yeah, show me a Grotog list that isn't
Just
query drive.
Nimble Mongoose. Nimble Mongoose call the herd.
Yeah.
Let's just run Flash Insight now. We do need a monster though. That's the only problem. Is that Psychotog not really a great monster? Korean Dryad's really the only monster. That's the thing.
It's just so easy to deal with for so many things in the format.
I mean, that's true.
If I'm going to play Protect the Queen, I'm going to do it to a 12/12.
Yeah. Well, then you just
right. Exactly.
Snuffed out the flames of invention.
Right.
Merfolk Looter. Merfolk Looter is...
Don't be a worse copy of something else.
Merfolk Looter is faster than Survival of the Fittest. I do not know. Like, let's just loot. Let's just play Merfolk Looter and let's sideboard it and replenish.
I like Merfolk Looter.
Yeah. But are we going to play Merfolk the deck?
I love Merfolk the deck.
Okay, Merfolk the deck. Are we doing anything different than what Mike Arnold does? Do we have any?
No, Mike Arnold. I mean,
he's just got it.
Yeah, it's great.
But that's like the problem, right? We need to like break down some barriers.
Well, there's so many built-in ridiculous synergies in Merfolk. You get so much good stuff and so many different tools. You can brew Merfolk any which way you want. You can, that list is full of 1s and 2s. You can fiddle with the margins of everything in that deck.
All right. So what's the 1/1 that it plays?
A bunch of them.
Okay. That's my problem. Number 1 is the 1/1s. Problem number 2. Okay. Here's the cards.
Play Lord of Atlantis and they're not 1/1s.
Here's the cards that I like. Well, there's no other anthem, right? Because you only get 4 anthems. That's the problem.
You can play, what's the blue anthem that has an upkeep cost?
I don't like where this started.
It's like a Blue Crusade, but it's got an upkeep cost.
Can we splash? Can we splash then? Something to just like give us a reason that we're playing these 1/1s?
You can for sure splash. I mean,
I don't want to play.
You're diluting your island.
I don't want to play Firewalker. Like that's a thing that I don't want to play. Like 3 mana.
Yeah.
To hose 1 deck, maybe 2.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great.
Okay, no Firewalkers. This is what I'm saying. Respect to Mike Arnold, but there are things that I don't like, and I would be interested. I don't ever want to show disrespect for the people who spent more time on decks than I. But like, there are some decks where I look at them and I just if I don't want to play that card, and if I don't want to play that card, and I want to play this other card instead, that's going to change another card, and things start cascading down. Like, it doesn't always result in something better, but I think this is like the process. This is like the cook. This is what people need to get after. Triple overtime. Any shout outs? What are we thinking? Closing thoughts?
Oh man. Just a general shout out to the Twin Cities community here and how awesome they've been. Mill City Old School continues to be like the most fun group to hang out with and play. We just did another shop. New space to play Premodern last night. Was a blast. And the community as a whole, all the other podcasts, it's, we're the Premodern community is like super blessed with a ton of like awesome content.
10 out of 10 format, man.
10 out of 10 format. It's a awesome place to play. And, I know I mentioned like the slight bummer that I'm getting off of LobsterCon, but big shout out to the people who are putting it on.
Yeah.
Who work
it's just because
hard.
it's just because you might miss out. It's not
right. Yeah. It's
like,
it's
there's
not
no other reason. Yeah.
And I know that like there is so much work and so much care that is taken with that, and people care so much, and it's Dave and the Duress crew and Jared and everybody who's involved like works their butt off to make sure that we have a really cool place to play, and just mad respect and props there. Sorry, this is definitely amazing guys. And I guess like the thing that I just want to point out, you've never been in a place where you're just like not really feeling like playing Premodern because of how Premodern is, right? Like you have, it sounds to me like you've been in. I mean, I was struggling a little bit.
Land tax era.
Yeah. I was having some issues with and I was enjoying playing land tax, but I felt bad taking it to tournaments.
Yeah. But since then, you've never really been in the same place where you're just like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. So we'll just need to talk to some more of the more jaded voices, because the two of us are just down.
I've talked to you about the expectations of you when you've had a good result or two.
Yeah, when you're a monster.
Oh my gosh, now I feel like I have to follow it up. That can be a bummer, and I had to get out of my own head with that and just go back to playing some of my nonsense and feeling good about playing the format again.
No, I actually completely agree, and I basically took a step back too, and I'm just like, look, LobsterCon's over. Let's forget about results. It's time to cook. I wanted to play that Iggy Pop deck. I did. People are complaining about black decks. I'm just like, okay, well, let's just see what some black decks do. Zombies wasn't it. It's okay. Yeah. I played it. I
was 3-1 with zombies in the fall brawl, and unfortunately I had some life stuff come up and couldn't finish up my fall brawl, which was a bummer because I had some of my favorite people stacked. Shout out to my opponents who I couldn't set something up with. I really apologize there. But I mean, I love zombies. Yeah. It's in a bad spot metagame wise, but it's so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, take some shots. I'm gonna take some shots. Beast attack.
Every time I loan it to people, they 3-0 whatever event I'm at. So
boom. Okay. This is Spike Colony telling you to take some shots, telling you to cook, get back to the lab. Don't have to be discouraged. Just let your thing fall face flat. I think the metagame needs to shift anyways. I think a lot of these decks that
it always does.
I think a lot of these decks that people are kind of worried about, it's just there's no guarantee that they should really be something you see all the time just because of how things are moving. Replenish and I think if you make a cook and your cook can beat Mono Blue Dreadnought, and I know this is a very tough deck to beat. And I know this deck maybe is too good, but let's prove it this time. Let's make sure that due diligence has been done. We've attacked from different angles. We've had a chance. Look, if you said, it's Dreadnought can't get anywhere in your scene. You sleeve up and stop, stop the monster. You won't stop, you can't stop Rich Shea. He's best
get player, after it.
Best playing. Yeah, but get after it. Get your cook on. I want to vibe. This was a vibe thing where I'm just look, I don't I felt it. I feel it honestly, because sometimes right now I'm just kind of I don't know. I'm so busy, and I want to sit down, and when the hour that I'm playing Premodern, I want to feel it's super valuable. And it does feel bad if you are you spend 30 minutes brewing a deck and then you run a couple matches and then the wheels fall off. So that's the process.
Here's the other half of it though. Sit down across from some of your favorite people and play.
True.
That's the other thing. The value isn't just from the game, enjoy some time with your friends, meet some new folks, chat about the format, really, enjoy the community aspect of it. We've got a great community. So, live that and love it.
All right. Quadruple overtime. Flop comes Jack King.
What am I sitting on?
You've got pocket jacks. Out of position.
Fuck yeah. No, I'm good.
Are you are you slow playing it?
Pocket slow jacks. Play it.
You're out of position. Jack King, 3-bet pot. Let's go. What's the action?
Go for it.
Rip it. All in.
Full house. Let's go.
Nice. I like it.
Let's go.
What if I have Jack King?
Right.
What if the turn is an ace?
No,
it's not.
You don't have it. I'm in.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sick. But what if I just fold?
What do you mean? What if you fold?
You think I guess I don't fold Ace King on Jack King.
Right.
True.
What?
All right. I wanted to play for stacks. We played for stacks. Aaron Dix, so great to have you. One of the shorter Spike Colony episodes, but it's always good to get a vibe check. Godspeed in the booth later today, and everybody go register for LobsterCon next Sunday.
Right on, man.
Love
Have
Spike
a good one, everybody. Love Spike Colony.